Hello, everyone. Welcome to Queerly Recommended, the podcast where we recommend queer films, books, TV shows, and more. I'm Kris, a contemporary romance writer for Bold Strokes Books, and this week I'm recommending a film.
And I'm Tara Scott. I review sapphic fiction at the Lesbian Review and Smart Bitches Trashy Books. This week, I am recommending a 2-part manga series. So just want to start again by thanking the folks who support the show, whether through coffee, signing up for the newsletter, telling a friend, which of course, if you are inclined to do anything, please tell a friend and perhaps consider rating or reviewing the show on a podcast app. You know, that really helps expand our reach. And this is a time where people are looking for queer stuff that's not going to bum them the fuck out as they're escaping from the world. So yeah, we would appreciate that. This is probably going to be a shorter episode because we did not get any listener questions. And also our lives are just kind of steady, boring in a good way. There's not a lot to talk about, I guess. Like, I started my new job and it's great. TLDR.
Right. Molly has a loose tooth, and so I'm keeping an eye on that. That's pretty much the news in my world.
You better explain who Molly is for the people that don't know you.
How does anybody in this world not know Molly? My sweet little Westie puppy. She's not really a puppy. She's 16 and she's crippled and she's amazing and I love her, and she's getting older, so she's losing her teeth. I think she's maybe I don't know, like 6 left.
Do any of them mate?
Well, yes. So she lost one of her canines and she's getting ready to lose another one. It's kind of loose and I've like felt it, and she like pulls away. She doesn't like me to touch her mouth. I mean, I get it. I don't like people to touch my mouth either. No. Unless I give them full permission. So
that's right.
So she's got one that just like wiggles. And I'm just like, there's a part of me that wants to just kind of yank it out, but then I don't want to pass out. So no. I just want to like wake up one day and like, oh, look, your tooth.
Are you just scanning the floor every day just to see if there's a tooth there?
Well, since she's not mobile, I pretty much scan the areas where she's at. Like,
oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, way to go.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah. Like, I can't move, Tara.
Like, I know this,
right.
But even you were talking about somebody going for a walk and I was like, well, why don't they take Molly with them? And then it's like, oh, right. Molly can't walk.
But she has a fantastic stroller. I mean, I have spent top of the line money for this stroller. It's amazing. It is a pet stroller, and it has apocalypse wheels. I mean, I'm getting ready. So it has the huge fat, like go anywhere over any sort of terrain tires. And it has a hood, a rain hood. It's got the full thing that you can snap it shut, you know, those buckles things.
Yeah.
And then it's got like a couple of vent areas where, you know, she can look out. And so it's amazing. And she can lay flat. I mean, it's so big that she can lay flat. So
yeah. Well, I just thought for people that might be new or maybe don't know you that well or don't follow and don't see the photos of Molly, it might be a good idea in case they thought that you were married to someone named Molly and you're waiting for her tooth to come out.
Yeah, I guess that does sound a little weird. You know, it'd be different if it was like, you know, like Rover or Princess or something.
Yeah.
You know, a true dog name, but no, Molly.
No. All right. Speaking of teeth, this is going to make way more sense in about 15 seconds. Kris, what have you been reading or watching lately?
Okay, I have been binge watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix, and I want to know, where has this show been my entire life?
What is it?
Where has it been? I don't even know how to explain it. Like when it first came out on Netflix, you know how when you turn it on, it kind of gives you a snip. It automatically starts playing like little snips of different things. And so this came on. I'm like, no way. I was like, absolutely not.
Is it a reality show or a scripted show?
It's a post-apocalyptic type, you know, right at my alley, of course. And so all of a sudden, like this massive virus hits Earth. And at the same time, all these babies are born hybrids and they're like part animal, part human. Okay. And so this, the patient 0, I guess, is named Gus, and he's part deer.
Okay.
And so it's kind of about these people like wanting to harvest these kids for their bone marrow because it's supposed to find a cure for this sickness that has killed 98% of the population of Earth. And then so you have these people trying to capture these hybrid children, and then you have these people trying to save them. So it's amazing. I just finished season 2 this morning.
I am not going to watch that, but perhaps my sweet, sweet partner Neil, who edits this podcast, will, because he likes apocalyptic shit. But when you're like, yeah, they want to harvest the bone marrow from these kids, I'm like, nope, I'm good. Nope. I don't want to watch kids like being forcibly harvested. I'm all right.
So it's really sweet because this kid, patient zero, doesn't know he's patient zero. This quote unquote papa, his dad, has taken him away from the lab and has run far into Yellowstone and found a cabin and has lived there for 10 years. So he has no concept of what's really going on. He just knows that if he goes outside the gate, it's bad. And if he ever encounters another human, to hide. And so he has all these rules, but his dad has taught him how to count, talk, read, things like that. So he acts as like a 10-year-old kid.
Does he look like a 10-year-old kid, or does he look like a deer?
He looks like a 10-year-old kid with deer ears and antlers. And he has high sense of hearing and smell. And so there's like a porcupine, there's a pig, there's a groundhog named Bobby. It's just so clever. It's so cute, but it's also like apocalyptic and sweet. And I'm just like, I'm in. Like, where has this been?
I fully support you on this journey.
I know you do, but you're like, I'm out. Neil will like it.
I will not watch it. Yeah. I think I legitimately, I actually think he would like it. Maybe. I don't know. He can tell me later.
When I first saw the clip, somebody told me to watch it and I forgot. I don't know who it was. Like, it was on the phone. I was actually talking to somebody on the phone and they're like, have you seen Sweet Tooth? And oh, never mind. So I'm like, what? So then of course I had to see it. But I do remember when it first came out on Netflix, I'm like, no way, I'm out. Like, no. So, but I changed my mind. It's really good. So I watched that. And then I finished up Euphoria. And like seasons 1 and 2, it's super queer show, but it's super dark. It's really uncomfortable, but it's brilliant. It's not something I can recommend because it makes me so uncomfortable, but it's super queer. So if you...
What about now? I haven't watched it because I've heard mostly that it will break my heart. And I think especially I haven't like my oldest kid is 11 and my youngest kid is 8. And it's like they're heading into kind of the years or ages covered by that. And I know they're gonna, I know my kids are gonna have sex and they're probably gonna try drugs and like all the normal shit that kids do.
You don't want to watch it. Yeah. It's hard because you see how one little thing can spiral out of control, can make people spiral out of control. And when they spiral, just the catastrophic events that happen because one person spiraled. It's amazing. I mean, I understand that this show wins like all the awards every year and rightfully so, but it's just so dark. It's so dark, and drug use and like the queerness. There's Gen Z, like, nobody cares if you're queer or not, which I love. I love that aspect of it. I really do. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. So as a parent, like, don't watch this until your kids are gone. Kids are like grown up and they're out of the house. So then watch this show. And for people who don't have kids, if you can handle it, watch it. I mean, the acting is brilliant. Everything about it is amazing, but it's so hard. This is such a hard show to watch. It took me a long time to watch it. It's not something I can really binge. It's like 2 episodes and I'm like, fuck, I need a break. Yeah. I need a break and I need to go watch something sweet. Like Bambi, not even Bambi. Bambi was a bad example. It's I needed a cartoon.
It's like a little light mom getting shot.
Big deal, whatever. Actually, it's funny because in Sweet Tooth, they call the kid Bambi.
Oh, that is cute.
So his name is Gus and it stands for something. They just call him Gus, but it's like something species or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually think if forced to pick one, if it was like, all right, Terry, you got to watch Sweet Tooth or Euphoria.
You're going to watch Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, that's the one. 100%. It's like, wow, that sounds lighthearted by comparison.
Yeah, by comparison it is. So yeah, but killing children for like bone marrow is harsh. But it's interesting because like most of the people don't realize that these kids are human. Like they're just like, oh, they're just animals and wild and crazy. And it's just like typical like hunting. Like they are part whatever. We can hunt them. And there's no ethical reason why they can't. Plus it could help the cure. Yeah, it's fucked. It's amazing what you can convince people to believe, as we know from America. You know, we see like how easy it is to manipulate people into believing what you want them to believe. Yeah. And so, and it's kind of interesting because the doctor who is helping this, his wife realizes that these kids are real kids. You know, they talk, they have feelings, they can, you know, do things. And then, so she's kind of, okay, what we're doing is wrong, or what my husband's doing is wrong. So there's like a whole ethical thing. So yes. So anyway, but it's still fun. There are a couple queer characters in it, but not enough to make it a queer recommendation. But there are some characters. So, and then Survivor, because A, Survivor, and B, it's queer. There are so many queer characters on Survivor. It's amazing.
Oh, really?
And they're like, I was thinking back. I was like, okay, let's go back to the beginning. I thought, oh, well, at the beginning, it wasn't very queer, but like the first winner of the first season was queer.
Was he?
Yeah, Richard Hatch.
Yeah, that's the only season I've ever watched.
Yeah, that like it has changed a lot since then. They don't let their people starve now, and they don't have it.
They
for
do,
like,
or they do, or they don't.
They don't.
Oh yeah, you probably shouldn't. I mean,
they. Well, I mean, you can barter for things like, okay, I'll stay out of this challenge if you give me some rice. So it's not nearly as truly survivalist as it used to be.
Yeah, it probably has like lower insurance and liability costs.
Plus, they don't do it as long. They only do it for like 30 days or 33 days. It used to be like 47 or 46 or something like that. Yeah. So now I think you can live without food for 30 days or some weird number. So they're assuming that if nobody eats anything, they'll still live by the end of the show.
Yeah. Well, what's that other survivalist show that you like where it's like
Alone?
Yeah,
I love it.
So Survivor is like Baby Alone,
right? It's not even close to Alone. Like it is. Yeah, no, it's not. It's
not the same.
They don't let you really. You're not out there using your own skill. There isn't going to be a bear that comes and gets you. No. So that's why a crab might pinch you, or you might get bit by some sort of spider. But I think for the most part, it's pretty tame.
Oh, yeah, because they have to film themselves for Alone too, don't they?
Yeah, they just have cameras out, and they have like 4 cameras they set up, and yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know that I could do either. First of all, I'm too old to do either.
No
bones. Like I wake up in the morning sore. I can't imagine like having to do an obstacle course on Survivor. It's not happening.
No, that's like, no, I need the bathroom fan turned on for the sound, but I also need a fan by my bed, but I also need earplugs and like special pillows and
Yes, I'm too comfortable. I mean, when the apocalypse comes, I have everything to survive, but I don't know that I'm going to, just because like my body's
I have always said that, because people love to do how would you survive in a zombie apocalypse? It's like, I would not. I would nope out. Goodbye.
Here's me. I'm the person who would be so excited about it, and then like I would die on day 1. Like some zombie would get me, and I would be so mad.
Yeah. See, I would prefer to go out on my terms and not a zombies, and that is still my plan. So yeah, it like no, it an apocalypse situation where it's like I can't have my hugging pillow. Like it doesn't work.
I'm out. Yeah, no. But I think I think that like if you were really faced with the survival mode, like how many people would you flip into survival mode? Yeah,
we'd figure some things out. I think my biggest problem would be, and I mean not just me, like a lot of people who live in urban settings, is just like knowing how to be self-sufficient. How do I acquire food? How do I grow food? How do I, all of those things. So
you'd have to leave the cities. You would have to find some other place to live
with people that know what they're doing and find ways to contribute.
Exactly. So I think, yeah, it's a bad idea overall. I don't really want a zombie apocalypse, but if we do have it, I'm going to sort of be ready, but at the same time, I need to get the hell out of here. The good news is, like Kansas, there's nothing in Kansas. I could probably go somewhere in Kansas and never be found again.
Oh yeah, I could go somewhere in Alberta, but then I'd freeze to death in the winter.
Yeah, that would suck.
That would not be my favorite. I have a friend who has land in Vermont, and I think
Ooh.
that might actually just be his plan. There's like a generator there, and I don't know what he and his family are going to put on it, but
my sister has 27 acres, just about 3 hours, still in Missouri, but down south. And they're pretty self-sufficient out there. So I think probably that would be where I would go. And her boyfriend, fiance, whatever, he has a ton of guns. Tons of guns. Yeah.
Should be covered.
I think so. Yeah. So anyway, what about you? What are you reading or watching or...
Kris, there's no Drag Race right now.
What?
There's no Drag Race right now. And I think it's a little rude and a little unfair that they decided to just like space it out between. So season 15 is over. We talked about that last time. But they did announce the cast of All Stars, RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars season 8. And get this. Remember how last week I recommended Workhorse Queen?
Yes.
Mrs. Kasha Davis is on season 8 of All Stars.
Wow.
I know the timing is perfect, but also congratulations to Mrs. Kasha Davis. That's amazing. I'm so excited to see her back on. Darian Lake is going to be on it as well. And they actually perform together all the time in Rochester, because we were talking about how like Rochester has a weirdly great, sorry, not weirdly, but like you wouldn't expect Rochester to have the drag scene that it has. So having two of the queens coming from there is pretty great. It's an interesting mixed bag of queens, but I think it's going to be fun. And I think there's going to be a lot of drama. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm very curious to see how Candy Muse and Mrs. Kasha Davis will interact, because they are such wildly different people. Like the kind of people that when you just say, oh, when they get into space, I think there's going to be some confrontation. And I'm waiting for it. So none of that. But we finished The Mandalorian.
Oh, you're ahead of me.
I hear you're not quite done.
I only have one more episode left and I forgot about it. I forget about it all the time.
It's a great episode. So I got to the end of the episode and then I realized that I watched this whole season with the completely wrong perception of what was going on. Unfortunately, because Neil told me that he had been reading stuff. Some of the impressions from some reviewers was that it's almost like it's setting up a whole bunch of other series, which is like kind of true, because we know like some of the people from Ahsoka are in it. We know some of the people from, that guy, he was the dad in Kim's Convenience, how he's getting like that patrol out in the... This is the problem. I like all the Star Wars stuff and I can't remember the names of anything. But anyway, they're
I'm
getting
kind of the same way too. Yeah.
Right. So what I didn't realize, so I just thought, I was like, well, when that guy got his brain fried out in episode 3, I thought he was going to be in it a lot more. And I thought Katie O'Brien was going to be in a lot more. She was that like super hot woman who fried his brain. And that's because I forgot how IMDb worked. And also the way my brain works is I don't retain a lot of information from TV shows that I watched 3 years ago. And so I forgot that they were previously on the show. Cause I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? What are they doing here? And then I was like, oh, okay. So one of them's going to be in 8 episodes and the other one's going to be in 6 episodes. And it's like, no, because they've both been on the show previously.
Yeah.
He is going to be in 1 episode and she is going to be in, I think it's 2 episodes or something like that. Like they're not on very much. So I didn't realize this season, the whole point of the arc is that the Mandalorians, like as a group, are going to try to retake their home world, which in retrospect was really stupid on my part. And I felt a little bit dumb, but then I was like, oh yeah, okay. They
kind of said that throughout this, sort of drop little things.
I watched a lot of this, not sober. we'll
Gotcha.
say. And sometimes the cannabis lets details through, and sometimes it does not. And I'm going to say it did not. So this is me putting my hand up and saying I was an idiot, but I quite enjoyed it.
Okay, good.
I have a fondness for the Mandalorians, and I was pretty excited to see them actually go to Mandalore and see what it's like and what's going on there. Have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
No, I want to see it though. Is it good? Do you need a brain?
I don't think you need a
No.
brain.
It looks like it in the trailer. It's like really intense.
So we had fun with it, and it's very watchable,
Mhm.
but I think it's kind of tonally incoherent.
Okay.
And so for most of it, it's like, no, we are a very serious space fantasy movie. And then like this joke gets busted out of nowhere. And it's like, we laughed, like it was funny, but it was like, wait, what kind of movie is this? What's happening?
Mhm.
And also, I don't even know why they have the Wasp in the title. Like, she's in it. I'm not saying that Evangeline Lilly is not in it, but like, I feel like she is in it for the absolute bare minimum they could possibly do and still have her in the title and still have her as kind of a part of the plot. And I don't know if it's because she tanked her own brand by being such an outspoken anti-vaxxer, but it was, and also she gives this like big matronly energy to where I was very confused about this family unit where it's like her and her parents and Scott and his daughter. And I was like, what's that about? Why are they all a family unit? And then at the end, when they do this, like, I love you thing, I was like, oh shit, are they together? Like I had forgotten that they were even together because there is no chemistry. There are no romantic vibes. She's just barely there. Like it was so strange. So I would say if there is a way for you to watch it without paying money, I would do that, but I would not.
Is it on like Disney? Is it on Disney or what is it on? Do you know?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Or it's on video on demand, I think. So yeah, no.
Okay, yeah.
Wait for it to hit Disney. It's not like you absolutely must pass on it, but it's more like expect it to be kind of stupid. And some parts are like fun stupid, and some parts are just I was laughing because it was stupid. Like, that is a good one to not watch fully sober if you are inclined to grab a beverage or if you're sober, it's fine. I mean, sober life is like, I get it. I fully respect it. But I'm saying you, Kris, who I know are not fully sober, you might perhaps
imbibe.
Yeah, grab something. And then the other one, so I am still continuing on my journey of watching films that were made in India. I watched one that pissed me off and stressed me out, and I'm not going to name it because it is quite well loved, and that's okay that other people love it. I have my reasons for hating it, but I wanted something really, really lighthearted. And so a friend recommended Hum Tum to me. And I think it's one of the best rom-coms I've ever seen.
Wow.
It is a nearly pitch perfect enemies to lovers romance. And if it were queer, I would recommend it. And it's not. But so if you're inclined to watch Bollywood films that are not queer, and there's many of them that are, this is a really, really great one because it's about this couple, Karen and Ria. And Karen is like a real douchebag at the beginning, like he's a player, he's irresponsible, he thinks everybody, but like the kind of irresponsible player type dude who would have read the game. This came out I think in like 2004. So I was watching the way he was treating her first. I was like, oh my god, this dude totally read the game. Like, what a dickbag. But the idea is that these two people keep running into each other. So the first time they meet, it's on a plane because they're both going to New York City to study. And then they like meet again, I think a year or two later in New York City. And then they meet again a few years later. And it's like, as they go, and they met a few years later because his mom was planning her wedding because his mom is like, she does big wedding planning. It's just this really cool idea of this series of continuing to collide. And over time, it goes from she hates him, and like rightfully so. I hate him in the first kind of few scenes, but then he grows and evolves, and he grows up, and she goes kind of through her own life circumstances, and she's not married anymore, and she sees the way he's grown, and they kind of fall for each other. But he doesn't realize how much he's evolved, but he wants someone good for her, and he wants her to be happy, and he doesn't think it's him. And it's perfect. And it made me feel feelings, and I loved them. And it's going to be a perfect movie for when I'm sick and just want to watch something lovely that I really loved before. I loved it so much. It's so good.
Nice. Oh
yeah. So Kris, what is your official recommendation this week?
So my official recommendation is a movie from 2022 called Anything's Possible, and it's on Amazon Prime. And here's the blurb. Anything's Possible is a delightfully modern Gen Z coming-of-age story that follows Kelsa, a confident high school girl who is trans, as she navigates through senior year. When her classmate Call gets a crush on her, he musters up the courage to ask her out, despite the drama he knows it could cause. What transpires is a romance that showcases the joy, tenderness, and pain of young love. Aww, I know. And it's directed by Billy Porter. I'm clapping on that one. Yes.
All right.
Yes, I know.
You caught my interest.
And I was like, oh yeah, this one's going to work. So it's super cute and low angst. And Kelsa has decided to start her senior year with the best positive. It's going to be the best year ever, as it should be. And she has great friends, and she just has a wonderful vibe, and she's beautiful and confident, and her mother is very supportive of her. And it's kind of cute because her mom's like a doctor and is really pushing her to get her college exam or her college essays done. Like everybody's parents are pushing their kids, throughout this movie to get their college exams. Or I keep saying exams, but they're essays, college essays. Anyway, Call is a quiet kid. He really likes Kelsa. They have art class together, and they kind of pair up and have one of their first assignments is to have to draw one another or paint one another. It's just so cute. It's just so adorable.
Yeah.
And he's been thinking about her for a long time, because they've been in school together like the whole time. But he's afraid that his friends and family won't accept him, and that he won't accept him for having a trans girlfriend. He's just afraid, even his best friend is just like a total asshole about queer people all the time. And his friend's always like, oh, that's so gay. That's so gay. He says things like that. So, and it never bothered Cal before, never bothered him. But on the flip side, he also doesn't want to ruin their friendship, because Call and Kelsa have a really nice friendship and have over the years. So meanwhile, Kelsa's and I think they're in the cafeteria, and she has two best friends, and she's like, hey, who does everybody like? Because we haven't really discussed who we like this year. And so one friend says a name, but then her friend M actually says Call's name, and that throws Kelsa for a loop, because she's like, wait a minute, I think I kind of like him too. But she doesn't say anything. So then it's like a bad, weird situation where Call knows that M likes him, but he likes Kelsa, and he doesn't know, because he's so quiet and shy. He doesn't know how to say it, how to actually approach her and just ask her out, because also M's always there. It's like a big, big, huge thing. So,
you can't spoil.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to spoil. No,
you would be so mad at yourself.
I know.
Oh,
that was a Molly
no,
thing.
That's fine.
So we have to cut.
We only spoil when there's dinosaurs.
Yeah. Nope. We're good on that. Okay. So finally, Call decides to ask her out in front of her friends. So that causes a lot of tension. But I mean, that's how it is. That's how he had to do this to get what he wanted. And same thing. He has the same concept. It's my senior year. I've got to make make this happen.
Now or never.
It's now or never. So it's kind of cute. They have this relationship, and it's real sweet to watch. And also understanding how Call handles this. He's worried about how his parents take it. And of course, his best friend reacts exactly how he thinks he does. And the ending, it's the right ending for this movie. It is absolutely the right ending. It's a realistic ending, and it's good. It's a good ending. Good. It sums it up well. And I liked, so Kelsa has this YouTube channel, and I really like this whole concept. And I actually, we'll get to that part, but she has this channel that helps other transitioning people understand things. And it's hidden from everybody. Like, nobody knows that she has this channel. Like, her mom doesn't know, her friends don't know. She just has it out there. And
but everybody knows she's trans, right?
Right. Everybody knows she's trans. There's absolutely no secret there. But she has this whole journey recorded. So Call finds it, and he watches it and watches it. There's this one little video clip that he decides to share with everybody, because she's like, she had a really bad experience. Everybody just like went off on her. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to recommend that people don't transition during high school, because it's really hard. And here are all the reasons why. And so he shares that, and it goes viral. And then everybody knows. It kind of has a domino effect, because then people are like, hey, your mom is my doctor, and all this stuff. And so like, it has this kind of a not a really good effect. And it did exactly opposite of what she wanted it to. Anyway, long story short, she ends up keeping the channel, because she does know that it's very helpful for transitioning youth. And I think that everybody should watch this, because it really is an incredible journey, and to see what actual people go through, especially in high school. We know as adults, we kind of know that high school sucked, but it's even different now, because there's so many challenges that kids have now that we didn't have. Especially social media. That is a big one. And so this is kind of good for just to see a career journey and see it play out. And I recommend it for that. I will say that there were two things I didn't really like about it. Eva Raine plays Kelsa, and she's like 28 years old. So she is playing a 17-year-old. And it's a little hard. That was a little hard. Absolutely beautiful person. A little hard to believe, especially the word choice. There was a lot of dialogue that was more adult dialogue than it is, teenage dialogue. Yeah. And then, how I'm about chemistry. I love chemistry. Like, that is my thing, especially on film. I need to believe it. Yes. And they had the best friendship chemistry. I fucking believed it. It was great. But the romantic chemistry just wasn't there. It wasn't there. That's a shame. I wanted it to be there. Yeah, I really wanted it to be there. But they kind of kiss like they're 12, and they are having their first kiss ever. So it's very, very simple, very, after 3 months of dating, your kissing should improve. After 6 months of dating, your kissing should improve. And it really didn't. So that part was unbelievable. But I think the story itself was just it was so sweet, and it was also so real, and it brought a lot of things forward that I think a lot of people need to be aware of and need to learn from. So I recommend it for that reason too. So
is Billy Porter in it, or did he just direct it?
I think he just directed it. If he was in it, I didn't even catch it. Yeah, super cool. I mean, because we loved like the Cinderella story he did. Oh, what was it called? I forgot what that was called. Yeah, so it was a really cute story. It was a cute story. Yeah. Huh. So, all right. Yeah. So that was my official recommendation. What about you? What is your official recommendation?
Okay. My official recommendation is called, like I said, it's a 2-volume manga series, especially like if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably more likely going to be reading things in English, because the only way to get it in English is the 2-volume series. If you're able to read Japanese for manga, then you can get it. I think it's in 4 volumes. But it's called My Brother's Husband by Gengoroh Tagame. This guy, I had heard about him before. He is like a powerhouse of the gay manga scene. He's done about 20 books over the last 4 decades. Most of them are erotic. His art frequently showcases kink, like the BDSM community, and kind of reminds me quite a bit not that like their styles aren't exactly the same, but do you remember, I think his name is Tom of Finland. He's the guy that does all the like beefy biker dudes. Sometimes they're going down on each other. Like if you've seen a Tom of Finland.
I have not. I would know it.
I really hope that's actually his name. Yes, that's his name. Because my brain kept going, is his name Tom of Holland? It's like, no, dumbass. That's the actor Tom Holland, who is not at all the same person. But anyway, there's something about the two of them. Like when I see when I see art from one of them, I think of the other one. Like that's just kind of because it's like men in the leather community often comes up. But these books are not like that at all. My brother's husband won a few awards. Including an Eisner Award for the best US edition of international material from Asia. It's more of like a slice of life, really. And it takes place over the course of 3 weeks. It's mostly told from the perspective of Yaichi. He is a single dad in Tokyo. He has a business that really, it lets him stay at home and take care of his daughter, Kana. Kana, I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly how old she is. Like she's in grade school for sure. But at some point, she and her friends all read Romeo and Juliet. So I'm like, at what age do you understand Romeo and Juliet? I guess it depends on how precocious you are as a kid. But when the story opens, a visitor arrives. His name's Mike Flanagan. He's from Canada. And Mike was married to Yaichi's twin brother, Ryoji, who had passed away not too long prior. And so Kana didn't even know that she had an uncle. Like she didn't know that Yaichi had a brother. She definitely didn't know it was a twin brother. She didn't know that this brother was married to another man. And the reason Mike is there is he wants to get to know Ryoji's family, and he wants to connect with the place where he was born and raised, kind of as a part of his grieving process. So, I mean, just that right there, I will say it's a book where grief is one of the themes. And I don't think it feels overly heavy, but like it adds this thread of poignancy that goes throughout the whole thing. It's a part of the mix. It's part of that bittersweetness. But because the whole story is told from Yaichi's perspective, we see him, like a lot of it is kind of his journey with homophobia. And he's not like the all gay people should die kind of homophobic, thank goodness. But it's, kind of more of that casual homophobia. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what I'm saying. I think I'm okay with gay people, but like my back gets up immediately. Like we see him, like his back gets up when he sees the way Kana takes to Mike, because Kana she fucking loves this. Like I have an uncle. I have an uncle. This is my uncle. His name is Mike. Everybody meet my uncle Mike. He was married. Like, so it's kind of great because we see, in a way, I think Yaichi is really intended, and some of the other characters is intended to show this is kind of the state of homophobia in Japan. And it's worth keeping in mind that when this was released, it was actually serialized. So it was released in chapters from 2014 to 2017. And actually it ended up being adapted into a live action TV show in 2018, which is kind of cool. I know I looked for it, but I don't think it's available in Canada, because the site I used to look up, where do I watch this thing, didn't even have it in the catalog. So I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, I'll try to find another way to watch it. But so we have Yaichi on the one hand, who he's trying to be polite, but clearly there's this like just general casual homophobia that's holding him back. And Kana, like, yeah, she has questions and some of them are a little uncomfortable. Like she asks Mike, well, then in your marriage, who was the husband and who was the wife? And Mike said, it's not like that. Oh. I was Ryoji's husband and Ryoji was my husband. And she just kind of went, oh, okay. And then like, that was it. Like she just, that way that kids do, like, you just have to tell them that it's real and that it's valid and that's fine. And it's in seeing these moments, and we find out, because we're following Yaichi, that like he also had been wondering the same thing. And then seeing that response, like that response really resonates and it sticks with him. And he goes back to it and he's like, oh, I've been thinking about this all wrong. And he has these moments where he's constantly being like, his long held beliefs are being challenged. And he realizes, oh, this is dumb. And we do see him struggle with, how does he introduce Mike to other people? Like he introduces him as his brother's friend in one instance,
Mm.
and then he gets closer and isn't quite able to verbalize it, but it was to somebody who knew that his brother was gay and it ended up being fine, to when he finally actually like stands up for Mike in a situation. And Mike's not even there and he'll never know, but like he just flat out says, no, he is her uncle and he is my brother-in-law. Like, get fucked. I mean, he doesn't say get fucked. There's no swearing in this book. It's very gentle, but that is very much the vibe. And I just found the whole thing so beautiful. So like I said, it ran from 2014 to 2017, but I looked it up and same-sex marriage is still not legal or recognized in Japan. And so the sense I get is that things may have advanced a bit. And there's definitely like, there's a gay manga scene there. I've recommended at least one before, but it's not as widely accepted as other places. And I think that's part of why Mike is from Canada, because same-sex marriage was legal in Canada then. And I don't think was it legal in the US in 2014? I'm trying to remember when it was passed.
Something happened in 2008. I'm not married, so I don't know.
I think that was California.
Was that California? Right? So all Google 1, 2, and 14. I don't know. Let's check. Legalize.
Man, I thought one of your friends would have gotten married right away that year.
You would think. I'm checking. Keep talking.
So it was definitely legal in Canada. So I can see why they had Mike be Canadian, because they basically talked about like the differences in the two cultures. And it was almost like you can tell in Yaichi's perspective, he almost couldn't. It was like he didn't have a mental framework for marriage between two people of the same sex or gender. Like, I think that was quite confusing. And man, I felt like I went on a real journey reading this. I read the whole thing yesterday.
Wow.
And I cried. It was so good. Like, especially the last volume. Because it really does do the what makes a family? Who is your family? Because there's also Yaichi's ex-wife they still get along. Like, they divorced for very good reasons. They had been fighting all the time before that, but they kind of said Kana is the most important to us. And so she is an active member of their family. She doesn't live in Tokyo. She lives a few train stops away. But we see as she comes in and she meets Mike and she immediately accepts him. And it's this really lovely, beautiful thing. And I loved how patient Mike was, because this guy showed up and like, he's grieving. He's just been widowed, like I think a month prior or something like that. And he also understands part of why Ryoji had to move away was he needed to live in a place where it was just easier to be gay, because he had come out to his brother and his brother didn't reject him, but like things changed after that. Like the tone of their relationship changed. And so Mike knew this and he wanted to really kind of bond with this family, and he's so patient. And again, like, thank goodness for Kana. I hesitate to call her a plot moppet, which is it's actually a term from Smart Bitches Trashy Books when there is a child in a book that's there purely to move the plot along, because I don't think that's the case. I do think Kana is her own character, but at the same time, Yaichi probably would never have accepted Mike so quickly into their family if she hadn't been there. So I think if people can handle, I mean, obviously content warning for homophobia, but literally the whole point of this story is,
getting up.
It's kind of homophobic in Japan, and it's pretty difficult to be a gay person living here. But guess what? We're real people with real feelings, and we deserve to have love and be parts of families too. And I think it is absolutely worthwhile reading. It's just so beautiful. So, yeah.
So, I was going to add that it was in 2015. Legalized USA marriage, 2015.
So, yeah. So if same-sex marriage wasn't legalized in the US until 2015, then it wouldn't have made sense to have Mike be an American. So it absolutely made sense that he was Canadian.
To be Canadian, right.
Oh, there's this beautiful part towards the end where he shows Yaichi just photos of them and their life.
Sweet.
And it's so good because you see Yaichi say like, oh, I haven't seen this expression on his face before.
Aww.
And the part that's so sad is that the expression was joy. Like,
that's sweet.
The fact that it just, oh my God. The other thing that is so fucking cute, and it comes up like fairly early, is Mike hugs Kana and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I mean, this is a hug. That's what we do in Canada to show affection. And she was like, we don't do that here. And she just like loves it and kind of jumps on him. And it's so great. And it comes up kind of like later as a thing too. So it's just like, man, you want to feel all the feels. Like, as long as,
that's sweet. Like
I said, as long as it's okay to have grief as kind of, I would say it's almost a part of like the set dressing. It's not a main theme, but it is the reason Mike arrived. It's, they wouldn't be there getting to know each other as a result. And even, Yaichi has to go through his own reckoning, realizing, oh, I wasn't there for my brother in the way I should have. I missed out on the last decade of his life. What do I do now? And it just, it's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. I'm considering, we read library copies and I'm considering purchasing my own copies.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I loved it that much. So that's it. Highly, highly recommend. That is all for this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. If you've enjoyed and you haven't yet, please make sure you subscribe on your podcast app so you'll get a notification when we release an episode. Like we said earlier, if you have a friend that you think would like the show, please tell them about it. And if you're inclined to support us, we have links in our show notes to our coffee and our newsletter. Also, if you like the newsletter, can you just like reply to it and let us know, what do you like about it? Are there any sections that are your favorite? Is there anything that you would like to see added? Always up for making adjustments because it's for all of you.
All right. And if you want to connect with us on your favorite social media sites, we have links in the show notes for that as well. Or you can just search for Queerly Recommended on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, TikTok, and Twitter, or email us at podcast@queerlyrecommended.com. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Been review and Smart Bitches Trashy Books, and this week I am reading it wasn't me. It wasn't you.